So when we look at the chart, so the points just give you a certain grouping and a sensitivity. It gets you into some of the patterns that you wouldn't normally see, and that's so useful. But then we still have to, still have to go through the factors of the chart. So the moon's in Gemini. That's the mutable air. You know, it's daylight is increasing, daylight is greater. It's the most independent, like trying to be independent, trying to be free. But in that trying to be independent in the daylight increasing part here of Gemini, that moon, he needs to live in his own way, but it intellectualizes the feelings because it's an air sign. The feelings get intellectualized more than they get brooded on. Okay, now Scorpio ascendant can brood, but like this is like the curious side is curious about feelings. He gets feelings, he's curious about, he's thinking about it. Trying to analyze it, just making sense out of his feelings, because that's his moon. Now, there's no really good aspects to the moon, but there is one difficult aspect. The moon squares Neptune. This is so insightful, because most people live in their moon and we come out of our moon and get up to and if we're lucky, we get through our mind into our emotions and we grow up to be a solar being. But or find love, or find our heart and our confidence. But this is the family one comes from. So thinking about the family one's thinking about your past. This is the moon. But because it's squared by Neptune, he has a lot of confusions about his past, whether it's guilt, sorrows, fantasies. He would have a lot of confusion. So in his moon, he would have some of the weirdest dreams. I mean, from the Neptune in the fourth house, the confusions that something's not as it seems at home from his roots. And there would be mixed signals. This would have been there between his mother would have had this confusion when he was born. Not been the most necessarily supported one. Of course, back then, how many women were? In any case, he was trying to think, but his ability to think, and he would have fantastic dreams or incredible dreams. And we'd be wondering, how can I have those dreams? Why can I have those dreams? What's going on? What? So he would have the dreams, and the dreams would be the color of his chart. So they have the Scorpio with a Mars influence. So he would have his weird dreams, and he's trying to think, how come, why come, what's that? And you can see where the foundation of his trying to understand dreams and understand how they affect behavior and relationships and security. That was a strong thing. He had a natural instinct to think this out, to figure it out. That's the moon of Gemini. Okay, not necessarily he could have the feeling, but he wouldn't. The moon of Gemini isn't indulging in the feelings so much. It's having the feelings and thinking about it. It's trying to make sense. How come? How would I have dreamed that? Oh my God! Like, so this is that moon of Gemini. It's in the 8th house. It's setting. It's very responsive to people he would meet. It's responsive to other people, and so he would instantly pick up on whether people were trustworthy or not trustworthy. Just the instinct. He would feel it, whether somebody was in a trustworthy relationship or not, be feeling supported or abused in a relationship or neurotic about it or not. His moon would pick up on that. It's in the 8th house. It's setting. So he picked it up, and then thinking about it, and then we're trying to figure out why those impressions are coming in. Trying to get a handle of all the diverse ideas. Wow, you can see how his use of the Freudian slip and getting lists of ideas, writing down, coming up with the idea, oh, there it is. And he just, from that, he'd get the handle. As soon as he saw the handle on it, the Scorpio ascendant would see, boom, there it is. And he would begin to figure out how it was useful to that person. So from his own, you could say, he would have his own weak habits from this, or his own confusions from this, but he also would be able to pick up on the weaknesses in other people's habits and in their lifestyle. So, okay, that's the moon of Gemini. We look at his Mercury. First, your moon's your memory, your past, how you reflect on things. He would intellectually reflect on them. His Mercury is in Taurus, down to earth, practical, matter of fact, determined, still my own thinking. It's in Taurus, daylight increasing. It's in the 7th house. It's also setting and responding. His ability to communicate and react with other people, to hear other people and listen and talk to them. That's very strong with that 7th house Mercury. It's important to be relevant to other people, or his ideas to be relevant. Now, his Mercury has no afflictions. It's trine to Mars. It sextiles to Jupiter, and it's just conjunct. It's right at the edge of conjunctness to Uranus. It's not conjunct the Sun, just out of the Earth, but they all would work kind of like one conjunction because they're on the same sign. Sun conjunct Uranus, Uranus conjunct Mercury, but Uranus conjunct the Mercury, there's still this need to think it through for himself, to make his own ideas, to see how other people aren't getting it. He's an excitable mind. He doesn't want to be, he's not a person that wants to be bored. Okay, so this is, and there's also the need for his ideas to be appreciated for his ideas. So in counseling and helping people with their problems, he would be appreciated for his ideas and paid. Like in this exchange, you can see the value of developing unique ideas and unique approach to them, and have his own take on dealing with people's phobias and complexes and neuroses, and developing the concept of psychotherapy, therapeutic thinking through what's healing for the mind and its complexes. But the mind, of course, includes the feelings, like the mind and the feelings. The moon has its own lower mind, and the Mercury has its other mind. But there's not afflictions to his mind. His mind was fairly practical, down to earth and solid, seeing the sexual balance of things, seeing the way people react. He had a very practical approach. He was haunted more by his own feelings and things that would come up that would be irrational and impractical from his moon, and have to think them out. But his thinking and his logic was very matter of fact, very yin yang, very duality oriented. I guess you could say very sexually oriented between the Scorpio and the Taurus. Whereas Jung had his, I'm not going to get it here. Okay, we'll just stay on Freud. So, okay. Okay, so his Mercury, positive aspect, it's in Taurus, it's a little deliberate and stubborn, but it's pumped up a little bit more because it's with Uranus. The need to see differently, or I see how this works differently, and finding his own understanding of things, a unique way of doing that. His Mercury is set up well for that. And his Venus is in the 6th house. So the 6th house, it's in Aries. So Venus in Aries is kind of the flirt. It's the impulse. I want something, I got to get it now. I got to go for this. I like this. I want this. I'm going for it. It's the impulse. It's the love of the impulse. So it's when you want something, you want it quickly. When you want to appreciate, you're attracted to aggression, to assertiveness. He liked hunting and fishing. He liked guns. He liked adventures. So he liked adventures and things. He and Jung had a very adventurous life. We were thinking about them just studying, but when they traveled together, they went on hunting expeditions. They went on different adventures to themselves. So it was about, he liked doing things. So he had appreciation. So for the Taurus, ruled by the Venus, his sense of what he liked really was Martian driven, or perhaps we could say sex driven. And it's ruled by the Mars, which was ruled by the Venus. So that mutual reception was there. But this Venus in the 6th house, he had to work. It's you're improving. You're having to improve what you want. You're having to, it's like, how do you heal your sense of love or not love? How do you heal? How do you fix your emotions or your emotional complexes? So what do you do? You know, there's many ways to do it. He would be inclined. So by looking at his chart, I would say he would be inclined, he would find a lot of fulfillment from doing, for him, it was physical hobbies. But I would have said, in today's world, I would have said you take martial art or Tai Chi or yoga, add something physical to get your contentment. Okay, but he had, the Pluto's in there, it's not conjunct, so but it's still in the 6th house, and it's conjunct the node. But the Venus has no really bad aspects to it. So there's no oppositions or squares, no major aspects to it. There's a couple minor squares. There's a minor square to the moon, semi-square. But the Venus he's got to do what he wants. And if he's blocked in getting what he wants, there would you see the seeds of repression or neuroses or the rejections coming in, and how they would go in, how rejections would come in and affect him personally. If somebody stopped him from doing what he wanted, well, it would go in deeply, it would go down into his IC. That's how he takes things in. But he wouldn't show it, because first, as things set, they would go over past his moon, past his sun, and he would be very selective and be able to see. And then if it hit him personally, it would hit his confrontation of Pluto, and then his sense of what he liked, how he thought things should be, and how he would like things to be done, and what he wanted to do. So he had a strong sense of what he wanted to do, and so he was really ready for challenges to do things, like going to America, or going to lecture. Once he's ready to go on things. Okay, now, and that is ruled by Mars. So the moon was ruled by Mercury, Mercury was ruled by Venus, but Venus is ruled by Mars, and Venus rules the Mars. So there's a strong interplay between giving and taking, between the passion and the satisfaction, between what you got to do and what you want to get. It was within him. But this Venus is in the 12th house. He had a certain style. It was a little intimidating. Like, he was fairly defensive with the Pluto in that 6th house. But the Venus was behind that, probably from his controlling things, or needing to control things. He smoked cigars. That was one of his hobbies. Moon Neptune, not a good hobby, smoking. But anyways, he had the Venus in the 6th house. He liked it. So I said, guys, it's a style. But he got cancer of the mouth, and he died from cancer. For the last part of his life, he was really fighting all the problems in his mouth from cancer, from smoking, and still having to speak. So when we see the older picture, he was out doing what he had to do. But when you see older pictures of, he's fairly severe and harsh. There was a harshness there. That's kind of the Pluto with the Venus. But the Venus is what I want to talk about here. So we saw the Mercury, the Venus, the wanting, and it's kind of the flirt. I want to flirt with this. I want to try that. Let's try this. I want to do this. I want to go with this. I got to do this. I got to go shooting. I got to go hunting. I got to go travel. Let's go. I want to do this. And he's deciding to do this because he wants to do them. He goes on the impulse. Okay. So then his sun is in the 7th house. So I want to do this. This is important. This is exciting. This is different. We're trying to do something different than that. And his sun in the 7th house wants to do it with someone. He wants other people to appreciate it, someone to notice it. Just by yourself, it doesn't mean anything. I want to do it with someone. So someone, it has some interaction to it. So he liked to shock or to excite. But that sun in Taurus, ruled by the Venus, with Uranus there, ruled by the Venus, and his thinking ruled by the Venus, he had a strong need to be appreciated, to be liked, to be valued, and a tendency to push for it. So his whole, you could see how anything that wouldn't come, he would feel frustrated from a sense of rejection, or a sense of repression that would come when it was blocked. When he was blocked from doing what he wanted to do, it would be repressed, and it would be an important thing. He would see how it would affect his relationships, and he would be working to try and be somewhat free of that. So the Taurus sun is the practical evaluator. This is nice. This is not nice. I like this. I don't like that. With an eccentric twist with Uranus there. So that eccentric twist in his lifestyle, it would be there, but also in his writing, he came up with a really different take on things. He saw it differently. Okay. So some of the stuff started with his Oedipus complex, the love of the mother. Oh my goodness, how scandalous. Was the love of the mother. And then the Oedipus complex and sexual things, and how kids could have sex and have sexual inclinations. It was scandalous. It was shocking. It shocked people. But he could see that. We could see how people would push for what they wanted, how they got it or didn't got it. It's his way of processing.